All right, good afternoon, everyone. Just getting some things set up here. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Zoom. If you are watching on YouTube, look in the chat. You'll see a link to a Zoom link to a live Zoom room. And I'm over here on that Zoom room. And after the episode, I'm going to stick around and I will answer questions, have a conversation with you, anything that you might be interested in talking about, hopefully things that we're going over in the episode today. Welcome back, everyone, to Increase Your Business with Blake Anderson. Happy to be here with you. I'm excited for episode 43. We're going to dive into some organizational leadership. Excited to be here with you, and hopefully you'll stick with me for the full episode. If you've never joined us live, we're live Thursdays at noon. We're on YouTube and we're on Zoom. Would love to meet you in person. Come join us for a conversation about these topics. And today we are talking about organizational leadership, and we're going to talk about the number one leadership mistake that leaders make that stunts the growth of their business. Yes, you heard it. I believe this is the number one mistake that leaders are making right now. You see it everywhere, and we're going to jump into it. So are you a leader in your organization, in your business? Do you have a title? Do you have authority? Maybe you're on a team and you're not the leader, but you have leaders over you. Let me ask you, are you getting the results with your organization that you want? Is everything happening the way you want it to? Is everybody performing at the level that you had hoped? Well, you see, the leadership mistake that I see leaders making right now, more than any other mistake that they can make, is that they are not leading. Yes, you heard me. The number one leadership mistake leaders are not making is that they're not leading. Their lack of results are the product of a lack of leadership. Most leaders are treating their leadership as authority as the end all be all. I said so. Not realizing what John Maxwell explains so simply and concisely in all of his leadership content, that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Your authority, your title cannot get anything done except for a head nod that you were heard, but it cannot get anything done. If anything happens as a result of your authority and your leadership, it will be the result of your influence with the person you're leading. So the mistake that you're likely making, if you do not see the results that you want in your business and in your organization, is your lack of leadership. You know, there's a mantra that I have around my teams and organizations, and it goes like this. You might have heard me say it. A leader's success is in the hands of his team. The team's success is the leader's responsibility. Let me say that again. The leader's success is in the hands of his team, and the team's success is the leader's responsibility. See, what you've got to understand as you go up the chain of command of leadership in an organization, the greater level of authority that you have, the greater vulnerability that you have. As you go up higher in responsibility, you're growing in vulnerability. The higher you get, you are more and more disconnected from the actual work that will happen to make your project a success. And you, therefore, are utterly reliant on a team of folks who will implement the strategy that maybe you have set or has been handed down to you. So with great responsibility comes great vulnerability. The Bible says, whom much is given, much is required. So the mistake is a lack of leadership. And here's how it's really playing out. There's two ways that I see this playing out. I want you to listen to these different examples, and I want you to tell me, identify which one sounds more like you. When you find yourself not getting the results you want, if you were to analyze your leadership, where's your lack of leadership? What's it look like to you? The first, I often see leaders, and this is probably the most common, but I'd say they're equally common, is a leader. Their style is through authority and enforcement. Okay. And they go into this with the belief that these people are paid to do it. It was in the job description. If they would just do their job, we wouldn't have any problems. We would hit our goals. The leader often thinks my strategy be, I will hold them accountable to the job description. I will hold them accountable to the deadline that is set for them. So really their strategy is one of enforcement. I'm going to tell you what, that is poor leadership. Remember what Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And there's no influence from accountability alone. And if you just leave people to do what they've been hired to do, you are rolling the dice as on a craps table on what your results will be. Because remember, a leader's success is in the hands of his team, but his team success is the leader's responsibility. So you're very vulnerable to put your results, your success in their hands and leave them alone to execute on their job description. Sounds like a risky proposition to me. The other form of lack of leadership. Now, listen to this really carefully. Maybe you're not an authoritarian leader. Maybe you're listening to me like, I don't ever treat people like that. I love people. I help people. I don't laud it over them or bark at them. I let them be professionals. You know, people just need space to do what they need to do. They need space to do what they're hired to do. These people are experts. That's why we hired them. And that might be true. So the other mistake that leaders are making when they're with their lack of leadership is the one of assumption. I see this almost as much of the time. I work and hire and have some wonderful leaders on my team who have huge hearts, who genuinely care for the people that they are leading. And the mistake that they make time and time again is assuming that the person that they communicated with is doing their job. And the assumption looks like this. Well, they know what they are doing. They don't need me to call and tell them how to do their job. I'm not going to pester them. They know they're busy. When they have time, they will get to it. They've heard me. They got my text. They got my email. We talked on the phone. Is that you? Assuming that it's enough? Assuming that your good heart and that your relationship is enough to get it done? You see, the measure of leadership is influence. It's not relationship, it's influence. We have a relationship with lots of people that we don't have influence with. I bet you there's lots of people that you know and like, but you wouldn't let lead you. Right? Are you any different than them? Assuming that because they care for you, that they'll do their job when they're supposed to do it. How is that working out for you? I'll tell you how it's working out for a lot of the people I work around. Not great. They are continually frustrated with the people who are taking advantage of them. And they're frustrated that they never seem to be taken care of. Let me tell you what, in the business world and in the organizational world, have you ever heard this phrase? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. While you are busy assuming that they don't need to be told what to do and that you don't want to pester them, they are being pestered by someone else. And whoever's pestering them is getting the attention. So do you want your project to suffer because someone else is taking the time to get in front and lead those people to do their project? Now, here's mistake number 2 that falls right along this, right? We're talking about a lack of leadership. Leadership is not a title. And your title, though you have the authority, doesn't empower you to get anything done. Things will get done as a result of your influence and as a result of your leadership. The second mistake that comes in response to the first problem, most people, when they face the problem, so they've either tried to enforce a directive and hold someone accountable, or they've assumed someone would do their job, but when they don't get the result that they hoped for, a response normally comes, and this is where mistake number 2 comes in, because it's really a continuation of the first, but it won't get the job done. Mistake number 2 is they often either put more rules and oversight on the person, they make it harder for that person to do their job, or they try to dictate the deadlines that much harder, that much further. It doesn't work though, does it? Flexing authority does not gain influence. Okay? And leaving people to walk all over you does not gain influence either. So let me ask you, is it more important that you prove your point, that you're wrong, that you're right, and they didn't do their job right, or do you want to win? Let me say that again. How important is it to you to win? I think most leaders, winning is important. They want to be successful. They want to do right by their customer. They want to fulfill their job responsibility. They feel some great loyalty and ownership of what they do. But the sad thing is when that doesn't translate into the lengths that they are willing to go to help their people succeed, because their success is in the hands of their team, right? So let me ask you this. Do you want to win or do you want to prove a point? I see great leaders every day who've decided that they are going to try to prove a point rather than empower their team. They're going to try to prove the point that the job description says. And if they would do the job description, they'd be successful. And since they didn't do what they're supposed to, they're not successful. Well, the people that you decide to hold accountable to what you dictated rather than leading them, when they're not successful, guess what happens to you? You're not successful either. And are you willing to take responsibility for your lack of success that came at the hands of your team's lack of success? Let me remind you, a leader's success is in the hands of his team, and the team's success is the leader's responsibility. So that number one mistake the leaders are making is a lack of leadership. They just truly don't understand the amount of time and effort is required by a leader to help a team be successful. People all too often think, I have to do my job, and if they will just do theirs, we will be just fine. But how is that working out for you? You can continue on and you can continue to get frustrated and you can fire more people and you can try to hire more people in hopes that someone will just do their job, or you can be committed to the result and committed to success. So what's the solution here? What do you do? What do you do when you're not getting the results you want? What do you do when you have people on your team that are frustrating you with their underperformance, who aren't meeting the deadlines, who aren't performing at the level that you've even talked to them about? Well, you're going to have to get involved, leader. You're going to have to get down in the trenches with them, and you're going to have to lead. You're going to have to gain influence. You're going to have to motivate them, and you're going to have to get them to engage. Really, what I'm talking about is the concept of commitment and accountability. You see, when you simply dictate deadlines, you are doing nothing more than suggestion. Nothing more than suggestion. What it's going to take to get your team to respond is it's going to take commitment, and then you're going to have to be willing to hold them accountable. Now, there's a way to get commitment, and there's a way to hold accountability, and there's a way to empower your team. We're going to get into that. But let's just address the commitment and accountability. I think we all know as leaders, if you're responsible for a result, you need to hold your team accountable, right? But if you're going to be a leader who has influence with your team, who wants them to achieve great things, and you want to maintain that influence, then you have to realize that you cannot hold anyone accountable for something that they did not commit to. You can't even hold them accountable to your dictation, your suggestion. You can only really hold someone accountable to something that they've committed to, and you can only hold them accountable to something that you are committed to. So if you have to hold someone accountable for a role, for a job, for a product, for a result, and you know one day you might have to make that call, then you need to work backwards and realize I better get their commitment on the front end. Because as long as they're just doing it because I said so, or because it's in the job description, trust me, they will, if they don't perform, there will be a valid excuse made on why they didn't perform. But when someone has committed to the outcome, they've committed to the activity to get the result, then it's easy to follow up, because you're not holding them accountable to your directive. You're holding them accountable to what they committed to. And now you could be a supportive coach who maintains influence even if someone hasn't performed. So as you're leading, first have to understand, with everything that you lead, you have to understand the principle of commitment and accountability. And you can't hold someone accountable for something that they haven't committed to. And you need their direct commitment for something that you plan to hold them accountable for. Okay? So let's get on with the solution on how to really dig in as a leader to not make this mistake of lack of leadership. We're talking about organizational leadership. We're talking about working with teams. We're trying to accomplish things with groups of people. So in the solution, there's kind of a 3-step process. And the first is you have to commit to the result. You as a leader, you have to first be committed to the result, right? You have to want to win more than you want to prove a point. You have to want to win more than you want to be right. So first you commit to the result. And once you've committed to the result, that means you too are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it. Yes, whatever it takes to achieve it. If you are truly committed to that result, then you have to be willing to do whatever it takes within reason, within your principles, within your values, within your mission statement to achieve the goal that you've committed to. So therefore, you are no longer looking to prove a point. You're no longer looking to find someone doing something wrong so you can fire them when they're wrong. You're committed to a result, and therefore you're committed, step number 3, to your leaders, and you're committed to helping your team perform at the highest level. You no longer make it their responsibility. You understand that their success is your responsibility. And in reciprocation, your success is in their hands. So the success you're after, you're so committed to, but you understand it's in their hands. It's not even in yours. You're vulnerable. It's in the hands of your team. But you're so committed to the success of that goal that you are willing to take responsibility for their success and do whatever it takes to help them be successful. You're going to have to put down your to-dos and your tasks, and you're going to have to start empowering people to perform at the level that you want to see perform. So what's that look like? Well, it's a 3-step process. It's the 3 E's of building people up. And this is where you should take notes, okay? These are 3 things that you can do in a meeting. You can set aside a meeting to do these 3 things. But really what I'm prescribing is a way. It's a culture, okay? Every interaction I have with my team, every interaction I have with the leaders that I lead, I'm always doing these 3 things every single time. If you'll begin to do this, you'll build influence with your team. You'll empower them to get more done, right? And you will create a leadership culture that can continue to grow because you're then leading leaders and you're breeding and helping them, empowering them to be able to do the same for the people that they're leading, right? So what are the 3 E's, the 3 steps to building up your leaders? Well, the first thing you have to do, number 1, is you have to empathize. Very first thing, when you meet with someone that you're going to lead, even if they've done wrong, even if you have to hold them accountable, or maybe it's a good day, you're giving them vision. The first thing you have to do is you have to empathize with them because we need to build influence. As we established earlier, I can give a directive out of authority all day long, but it doesn't mean they will do it. Someone will actually do the work when they themselves have committed to doing it, not just because they were told to do it. So I need to build influence and rapport right out the gate so that when I go to give something, a directive, a deadline, a demand, I have influence enough to ask for it, and they want to do it out of the relationship we have with each other and the commitment we have with the goal that we're after. So first thing is I need to empathize. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay. When you empathize, you need to get down on their level and you need to speak their language. To empathize with someone, you've got to be willing to change your language, the way you speak, the way you communicate. So unique to each individual so that you can relate. No, you're not being two-faced or double-minded or chameleon. You're being an effective communicator, an effective leader who knows they need to build influence. And so I get down on the level of the person I'm communicating with so that they hear from me. Communication doesn't happen because I'm speaking. Communication happens when someone understands what I want them to get out of our interaction, right? The second thing I need to do, so I've empathized with them. They need to know I care. They need to know that I genuinely care for them. They need to know that I can be trusted so that they're willing to listen. Trust me, if you're not trustworthy, they may not be listening to the next things that come out of your mouth. And if they do, they may not be willing to fulfill it. So take the time to empathize. The second thing I do with every leader, the second E, and I do these in order, okay? You do these in order. This is an effective way of communicating and leading people. First, you empathize. Doesn't have to take 20 minutes. It can be one sentence. How's your day going? How was your weekend? How's your family? What are you excited about right now? Okay. Last time we talked, you were playing golf. Is that something that you do regularly? Empathize with them. I know you had a baby born. How's she doing? You've got to get down there and show a genuine empathy for that person. The second thing is I want to encourage them. Okay. Encourage them. So first I'm going to get down on their level, but then I'm going to take them to a new level by encouraging them, right? I want to encourage them in three ways. First, I want to recognize, you need to take notes here. I want to recognize their importance and their contribution. Take the time to recognize the importance of your team member. Take the time to recognize the contribution they bring to the team. Second is I want to affirm their value. Let them know that you see their gifts and their skill sets. You take that into consideration with everything you have them do. You choose them intentionally because you want them to bring their gift to bear, to contribute from their strength in the place that they find the most enjoyable. So I recognize their importance and contribution. I affirm their value. We need you here. You have this gift of communication, or you have a gift of listening. We value your how detail-oriented you are, or how organized you are, right? And then the third thing is I want to empower them with confidence, right? So part of encouraging is I empower them with confidence. I want them to know that they are wanted here, they're needed here, that they are a huge contributing factor to the success of this team. And I empower them saying, I believe in you. I have confidence in you. Tell a personal story. I had a moment at a meeting recently where I had to hold a team accountable for some results that didn't play out the way that anybody wanted them to. And I had to state some very firm things in the meeting so that everyone was very clear that this type of performance is unacceptable going forward. And then the very next day, I decided to make a phone call to the leader directly to not just restore them because they hadn't done anything horribly wrong, but to empower them, to let them know, I have confidence in you. Though this project did not go the way we wanted, I know you. I know your value. I know what you bring to the table, and I believe in you. I am confident in your ability to lead your team into success. So empower them with confidence. Nothing will embolden a person than knowing that the leadership values them and believes in them and think that they are capable. Trust me, you do those things and people are starting to feel really excited about the project that you've invited them to. And they're going to be so much more willing to commit to the deadline and the result you're trying to get to. And then the third thing, so I empathize, I encourage. And the third thing as a leader is I have to equip them. Okay. Which means I've got to be willing to teach new skills, implement new tools, create new process. It's not okay for me as a leader to tell the person, well, it's your job to figure it out. Just get it done. I don't care how. It's not my job. I've got too much to do. No, their success is my responsibility. So if there's a missing process, if there's a needed tool, if we need to bring in someone with a new skill set, I need to be willing to equip them and get them what they need, the resources they need to accomplish it. So I teach new skills, tools, process, and that will take time. That's an investment. But see, in leadership is high leverage moments. Okay. A little bit of investment in leadership creates massive results. Okay. And then I've got to take time to ensure understanding. That's a form of communication. But when I'm equipping someone with a new tool, a new process, a new skill set, I need to take time to make sure that they understand it. Trust me, this is really easily looked over. You've been thinking for days on this new process. Here's how we're going to do it. I've solved our problem. If I can just get everybody to do this, then we can start winning. You get in front of the team, you whiteboard it out. They're nodding their head. They kind of understand. And then they hit the field and it doesn't go as planned. What happened? You understood it. but you didn't take time to make sure that they understood it. So when you implement new things, when you equip them, you must make sure that they understand what they've been equipped with. Okay. And it helps when you add the why. Why are we doing this new tool? What's the context? What is the process that you made the decision? Why this software and not that software? Why am I calling this person and not that person? Equip them with the why. When they lack the why, they lack the certainty and confidence of what they're supposed to do. So ensure their understanding with your time, ensure their understanding with the why and the context. And then finally, a part of equipment that comes up is there is still going to be times where we have to confront and correct wrong behavior. Now, we started at the beginning talking about leaders who that's the extent of their leadership style, is confronting and correcting wrong behavior. Now, I'm telling you, that's still important. It has to be done. But did you hear all the things that we did first? We do these in this order. And last is correcting and confronting wrong behavior. Trust me, I still have to correct and confront wrong behavior in my teams. But I do that in a specific order. Before I correct and confront, I'm going to empathize with them, where they're at right now. I'm going to get down on their level so that we're talking eye to eye. I am going to encourage them before I correct and confront, because if I'm committed to them, I want them to know that no matter what comes next, we're still a team together. And I'm committed to your success because I'm your leader and I understand that's my responsibility. But then you will have to confront and correct. But if you've done all those things first, by the time you come to confront and correct wrong behavior, chances are the person that you're confronting already is ready to fess up. They're already to say, you know what? I haven't lived up to that standard. I need to change. Oftentimes they will beat you to the punch because you've done all those other things and it becomes very clear that they haven't lived up to the standard, to their commitment. So you confront and correct wrong behavior. And just remember, you need to use tact and grace. You need to build up, not tear down, but you still have to confront and correct wrong behavior. That's what leadership looks like. Trust me, if you'll start to interact with your team, understanding that their success is your responsibility, knowing that you're so vulnerable because your success is in their hands, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get that success that you're after, then you're going to get involved. You're going to start building those people up. You're going to realize the best use of your time, the high leverage moments, is the moments that you get to equip a leader to do more, to do a better job, to take his or her game to another level. You're going to empathize with them. You're going to encourage them. You're going to equip them so that they can do more. You know, it's not enough to give them a job description and expect that they're going to do their job perfectly. You hope that they will. And trust me, I've got team members who do. They go over and above. They don't need much coaching from me because they are more than rock stars at what they've been asked to do. And that is an awesome thing to have. But I've got plenty of people who need from me, and I don't hold it against them. And I don't say they're worse than that other person. I know that they're my responsibility. And I brought them on my team for a reason, because I believed in them and I believe in their gift, their skill set, their heart, and what they can bring to my team. So therefore, I'm committed to help them be successful. I understand that I can only be as successful as they are. So don't make that mistake. Be a leader that's not a leader in title, in authority, but a leader who's one in influence. A leader who uses high leverage moments to equip people, who knows that they can be the most productive when the people that are implementing their strategy are able to do it with a greater level of success and excellence. You start doing that, and you're going to start seeing capacity created in your schedule. Many of you are not doing it because you think that you don't have time. Trust me, this is the fastest way to free up time in your schedule. Taking the time to empathize, empower, and equip the leaders on your team to do more. And if you'll do that, you'll create an organizational culture of success and leadership. And now the people you're leading will become leaders. And they'll start empathizing, empowering, and equipping the people underneath them. And then they'll become leaders. And they'll start doing it to the people that they lead. They'll do it to their vendors, to their customers, to their team members. And now everybody is empowered and is accomplishing so much more. And you can already feel it. There's a feeling of joy and happiness as new things are becoming possible, because we've all taken our game to a whole nother level, because you decided to be a leader with influence, not just with authority. Join me next week, live, Thursdays at noon, as we talk more increase in your business, organizational leadership, and how you can take your game, your business, your organization to the next level. If you happen to be watching live on YouTube, click the link in the chat. You can come over to the Zoom room. We can talk more about this topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts, love to interact with you. And if you can't join me, hopefully I'll see you next week, live Thursdays at noon for Increase with Blake Anderson.